Welcome, adventurers. I am Raj, your humble guide. Come one, come all, sit around the fire as I offer my guidance in the ways of expanding one's world. Today's topic: consequences. Every action has its consequence, and every story its conflict. One must remember that the weaving of a story often includes knots that need untangling. Let us play a scene out. The party needs to attend a thieves' kingdom, one of renown for its smuggling, treachery, and its lowly clientele. The party needs information, and they have gathered just enough to find the entrance to the kingdom, a rather unassuming metal grate. Most would assume it was a sewer grate, merely guarding the previous excrements and trash from earlier in the day or the previous night. But the party knows better. See, they know in order to get into the kingdom, one must pay a handsome toll to a hidden guard nearby, although they don't know where the guard is, or wait and sneak in when someone else pays the toll. But neither option sounds appealing to the party. They're impatient, a little rambunctious, and often use muscle instead of brain. And therein lies the crux of the story. The answers given are not the only answers that will technically work. But even if they work, they too will have consequences. Now we will run through a few scenarios. The party brute forces their way into the kingdom. The following could be consequences of using pure strength instead of any strategy. For one, the guard that was hidden could go unnoticed and land a deadly strike upon at least one member of the party. The guard, to save their own reputation, may even arrest the party under some false charges, complicating matters even more. This makes it so the party never reaches their goal of getting within the kingdom. They possibly will never get the information that they seek. A failed quest. Sounds like a pretty grave consequence. But this is only one thing that can happen. Now, let us assume they manage to get into the thieves' kingdom. The brute force method would surely attract attention, as it would be improbable that it would be completely quiet. As a side note, if the party consisted of a magic wielder who has the spell Silence, then the noise would be null, in which consequences may be lessened. Now that is specifically for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, but in fantasy, anything can happen. Back to the scenario at hand. The noise from breaking in could attract some attention from within the kingdom, making the party public enemy number one. Especially in a place without law, where stabbings and murder are looked over without a thought. Or they could be ignored until they find the need to rest, which is already a dangerous enough ordeal in this place. But with the additional agitation, putting the inhabitants and unsavory clients on an especially sharp edge, perhaps it would not be bedbugs that bite through the party's skin that night. We will assume that the party gets the information they seek through brutish means. The possibility of being stabbed or poisoned still hangs in the air on an incredibly thin thread, but perhaps everyone stays out of their way in fear, or for other reasons. But now, the King of Thieves, overseer of this underground kingdom, has labeled them an enemy for breaking into the kingdom. Now they are hunted by various bounty hunters and other scum, never to rest safely until they return and wipe out all existence of the King of Thieves, and destroy any evidence of bounties upon their scalp. Now, only if these adventurers were more diplomatic and less brutish, perhaps they could have come to an agreement with the King of Thieves. Unfortunately for this particular party, it seems they will continue to be hunted for gold. When determining consequences for an action or a series of actions, one must see how severe said action or actions were, both in the moment and in the grand picture. This will help you as the storyteller to decide the timeline of the consequence and just how severe the consequence is. The example of breaking into the thief's kingdom may seem small in the moment. Just a broken sewer grate, an annoyance to be sure, but the city in which this kingdom resides under would most likely fix the grate, leaving no true difference in the lives of those up top. But to those who reside in the underbelly of the city, the possibility of being found just increased tenfold, leading many to be arrested and possibly executed for the previously unjudged crime. And once the patrol up top arrests all the clientele, why, it would only be logical if they went for the King of Thieves themselves. The king would not look favorably upon such a course. The breaking into their kingdom leaves it far too vulnerable to collapse from within, as well as invasion by those who live up top. Such a vulnerability would not be tolerated, and those who created the vulnerability would become targets for the King of Thieves' wrath. Do you see now? What was once a small issue is truly a long-term vulnerability and danger to the people of the Kingdom of Thieves. A small event, long-term consequences. Therefore, the party must pay their judgment in their own due time. Remember, when many people are involved, consequences are slower, not immediate. The more people involved, most likely the more decisions are being made and wires get crossed as people communicate poorly or simply don't communicate at all. Or, you can wrong a single man in a rigged game of cards, and thus, he stabbed you. A single person, a single event, a swift and single consequence. The larger the group, though, especially a governing body, no matter how lawless the land may be, the slower the consequences usually turn out to be. The most likely scenario from before would be scenario 3, as each individual client within the underbelly of the city, they simply do not have a direct fight with the party. And one person picking a fight with a party of 3+ members would not be logical. But the King of Thieves would not look upon the party with grace, and knowing the danger that they possess to the kingdom, a face-to-face confrontation would not be ideal. Face-to-face would also put the king in a direct line of danger, which would be highly unlikely. Thus, that leaves the king sending messages and warrants and bounties out for the party's death and execution for a handsome price. I hope this has been helpful to all aspiring storytellers, DMs, and creator of worlds. Let your ideas run like a raging river, and your words come to life. Until next time, dear adventurers.